Hi, Hoffman here. Seems like I'm doing this a lot lately, but talking about meetings I've been involved in. I get to talk to a lot of interesting people and people who have more than average means, to say it nicely. So when it's really interesting, I think stuff that the human race would benefit from, I don't mind talking about it. I don't think there's any confidentiality issue here. But, ahead of Trump coming into the next administration, you got a lot of people who are influential who are going to be a part of that. I was involved in a nice conversation with some of those types of people. And kind of, they asked me what I thought should be done about healthcare, because I have a lot of strong opinions, and those things tend to work out the way I say they will. So I told them, well, I have the solution to healthcare. It's quite easy. I mean, I know every time Trump got pinned down in a debate or some media question, they're always asking him, well, what are you going to do about healthcare, as if you're supposed to preserve the existing structure with an insurance condition. So you project the insurance companies, because they lobby Congress and politicians in general to protect them as they go forward. We're supposed to accommodate this ridiculously expensive healthcare that we currently have, which is completely broken. It's all based on keeping people sick, keeping people in a depleted state and prolonging their life long enough, and then these companies profit off their demise. And the whole medical industry is built off of that kind of mentality. The hospital processing that goes on, it makes me just sick. I hate it. I hate seeing people go through it. I'm not very keen on people who work for it and make money, make their livings off that, because it just profits off the demise of people. So saying all that, they're like, well, what would you do different? What would you think would be the thing to do? So, well, the technology's been sitting right in front of us all this time, and I think what we should be doing, you have two problems. You have people who are getting old and dying, get sick and for 20 or 30 years of their life, deplete the system, and then you don't have enough good, healthy people being born, because we've had this political radicalism that's been trying to kill off the human race, essentially. So your birth rates are down, and your older, degenerate population is increasing, and then they just tax and overwhelm the system. And there's a lot of things going on behind all that, but how would you solve it? And if you had a forward-leaning Trump administration, what would you do about it? And I said, well, if it was me and you could play this thing like a SimCity game, I would simply set up a system where you encourage birth rates to increase. And how do you do that? Well, pay people essentially to have babies, make it nice and easy for them so there's not a huge insurance cost. Well, then how would you do that? I said, well, have hospitals sell the placentas from newborns to labs that produce stem cells, and use the stem cells to prolong life, because we have a need for instant human beings. Birth rate, especially going into space and becoming a space faring civilization, multi-planetary, that all of a sudden gives a demand for more people. You got to have a lot of people, and you need the people you currently have to live long enough to transfer all that knowledge to this next generation. But then you need to populate this next generation with a massive amount of birth rates. But then to do that, you got to encourage young people to have babies, and then you need to take away the problem of having the expense and all the trouble that has babies. And then the way to do that is you make it so that hospitals can still do hospital stuff, but instead of treating the sick and dying all the time, you're facilitating the newborn. For people who are late to this topic, basically when you have a baby, the placenta and the umbilical cords get thrown away, essentially in a trash can, goes to bio-waste, and in those things is a tremendous amount of wonderful stem cells. They don't care if it's for a newborn baby or a 90-year-old person. When you inject it into a body, it rejuvenates the cells, puts competition for current cell structure, and makes current stem cells behave better and more efficiently. Even though when you do a stem cell injection, if anybody's gone to like Panama City to do one of these stem cell injections, it costs about $15,000, much cheaper than treatments for hip replacements and elbow replacements and rotator cuff issues. The stem cell treatment is much cheaper, more efficient than any of those, but it's still pretty expensive, and you can't really do it down the road. You have to go to some other country where they don't have so much, we're still doing experimental medicine like that. But the stem cells essentially in those places come from placentas, and they're throwing them away anyway. So one thing a hospital could do to keep its revenue high is encourage people to have babies, bring babies in the world, increase your population, and take your discarded placentas and umbilical cords and sell them to labs who then produce them into stem cells, and then use the stem cells. They could then market the stem cells for stem cell treatments that keep people healthy longer, repair things that break with your own body mechanisms, and it would help everybody. It would certainly give us an increased population. It would allow people who are already currently of age to live longer and better and healthier lives. And then it would then encourage another generation to multiply at the rate that we had in the 50s in the United States. Everybody would benefit. It'd be a good deal. And you could do that right away by creating policy and a means and economic viability to completely overhaul the insurance, or how you insure sickness. Instead of being a depletion model where you profit off the decaying and dying, you would then have a profit model that keeps people around longer, contributing to the system, putting more money, being income generators for longer in their life, and not draining all these systems. With early retirements, people could live well past 100, 120, 150, just because you're always having stem cells replicating body tissue in your own body, so you can stay healthy longer. Usually when you inject a stem cell into a body, your body gets rid of it in a couple of days. It gives you immediate benefits to torn ligaments and cartilage issues and cardiovascular weaknesses, problems that start to emerge just from weakness of tissue as you get older, and your body's not making as much new material for body tissue. And as those compound, you get older and things start breaking. Instead of allowing them to break, you fix them with stem cells. And where do you get the stem cells? Well, placentas from the hospitals, from newborn babies, from umbilical cords, the kind of stuff that makes a human being to begin with. And again, currently our policy is to kind of take that stuff and toss it in a bio-waste basket and just pitch it. But what you could do if you had a huge surge of these things, now you could, the hospital could sell them to labs. Labs could then create stem cells for stem cell treatments. People would stay healthier longer, and you just fix the model. And when I said all this, a lot of these people didn't know a lot of this was even possible. Like, this stuff's been possible for like 5 or 6 years. And I think it's going to be like commonplace by 2030, and we're in 2025 now. So just a few short years, the amount of time it took to get Trump from one administration to the next, the little period where we had Joe Biden and his loser presidency, you could have a complete policy change in just a few years where you could totally overhaul the insurance industry. You could totally take the burden off people who are just sucking off the system because they're dying, and you're trying to prolong the death so they can be income generators just a little bit longer. From a social context, all this can be fixed with stem cells, and you get the stem cells from placentas and umbilical cords. And I don't think there's a whole lot of ethical problems with that kind of thing. It's just building blocks of what makes tissue, and what is a natural or unnatural lifespan. I mean, Moses lived a long time. There's a lot of people lived hundreds of years biblically, and maybe we should be thinking about how we could live longer to bring wisdom to those new generations, so we can repopulate the earth in a productive way and get away from the devastation that liberal politics has brought, not only in low birth weights, but also depleted conditions as you get older, and a healthcare system that was broken from the concept, because you're treating a degrading situation rather than trying to improve lives. And the stem cells give people the opportunity to do that. And it only makes sense, and we should be doing it. You have a means to do it. The only thing we haven't done is create a real policy that allows it to happen. And the moment we do that, you can totally change healthcare the way you know it. Now, a lot of these insurance agencies that are built around the marketplace of depletion, of death, of gradually declining in health, and them just profiting off delaying that process. Of course, they're going to have a tough time, but there's other things to do, and they can reconstitute themselves to become contributors to regenerative health instead of depletion of health. And that's what I told these guys, and they seem to find it very interesting. And I think they'll probably, there's going to be some more advanced conversations along that healthcare front and policy making, and it gives some options to talk about. But yeah, it's a real thing, and it can happen right now, and we should be doing it. Just a little whisper in the ear. Rich Hoffman here. Share, subscribe, make tomorrow a better day. If you haven't read my book, The Gunfighter's Guide to Business, I think you'll love it. Anyway, have a good day. See you later.